All right, so we have our top four is Kyle Peters versus Emmanuel Anote, and Ryan Chen versus Sam Toole.
I know Sam, Kyle, and Ryan were all already qualified for nationals. Did Emmanuel have one, or did he get his by getting this far?
I have no idea. That is not info that I know. I'm sure we've had some Cascade downs.
Kyle already also has a what's it called?
The day 2 skip, yeah. Apparently Ryan Chen got a little hot because he took off that hoodie.
Yeah, and right.
All right, get this layout finished and updated for y'all. That should be good. Oop. So I'll try to get those mats a little lower so we shouldn't miss any damage still. Usually you don't play out that. You usually just give it to whoever got there after Swiss, I think is how that usually pass down works. I'm not even sure actually for the pass downs, but I'm not sure, especially because so many people would leave at this point. So I imagine you just have to use Swiss standings. Optional player use Swiss, yeah. So I have to imagine it's Swiss performance then, which if we go off of that, Tyler Rea was 9 and Matt Smith was 10 after Swiss. But I'm not going to confirm that, so don't go like on Twitter and like congratulate them. Oh, congrats on the invite! Actually, we determined it by rolling a die in the parking lot, and I lost it. You know, I rolled a 6, and my opponent broke the die in half and got a 7. So you know.
All right. This is the top four. This is our second to last round of the day. As we take our leave from Plano, Texas. Mr. Ghoul, of course, helping us host the stream.
I want to make sure real quick, if anybody in chat can give me a quick audio balance test versus Travis. I did slightly adjust that between because I was told I was a little quiet.
You sound good in my headphones, but of course, I don't know what the
audio good. It's fine. Okay, cool. I just know that I've had multiple people tell me it was a little quiet, so or I was quiet relatively, so I boosted myself a tiny bit.
Excellent.
Trying to make it where you guys aren't getting like, okay, this is the volume of the stream, and then Travis comes in and accidentally blows out your speaker.
Yeah. What's up? Only with hype. It's the only thing we want to blow and hopefully some good card matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one could be a grinder. Obviously, Earth Ice has that incredible board state it can get to where it just kind of locks you down every turn. But as you've mentioned in the past, Wind has much better top decks than a lot of folks. And I never ever count out a Wind deck, especially when it's potent as Ice Wind. And Ice Wind, can return the resource hate, right? It says, hey, you're not the only one who can lock down a board. I can lock out your board just as well, if not better.
Yeah, and I know from talking to Ryan, I kind of chatted with him a bit after his last match. He is not very confident against Ice Wind. So he does not think this is a very good matchup for him at all. It's one of those things, I always feel like Ice Earth has a chance in any matchup just because the lockout state is so oppressive if it gets there.
Yeah.
But it has to get there, is always the thing.
Right.
You know?
Well, and Wind has a lot of tools like Evray that can just say, actually, your Dull Freeze of a backup is meaningless to me, and Having done a lot of testing between Wind and Ice Earth, I know Mono Wind really craps on Ice Earth, but of course this is Ice Wind, so will that be enough of a difference? We're going to find out. Ryan gets rid of Iridia to start us off with a Geomancer and pulls out the Yu-Gi-Oh counter, and we've got one crystal and ready to go. Ooh, here's Nordstalin. Great opening for Icewind, and Sam does have Zidane in hand, and we already saw once what a turn one hasted Zidane could do to an opponent.
And again, it's really nice in this matchup because the cards that Dane steals are in the RFG pile. They're not in your hand, so they can't really be attacked by what Ice Earth normally is trying to go for.
Yeah, that's huge. Essentially, with your 2 cards you draw for turn, it just gives you access to so many more cards. Sam will presumably either get Althea or a Uke for our colors. I didn't think I saw an ice backup in his hand, but looks like he's gonna pass right after that.
We're
Sam
sitting
had
on
really
a lot
nice
of good cards. We got like
Yeah.
Asani Zana in hand as well. If we're on Chocolate, that's another backup.
We do have Arcanist at least in. Yep, go for our own Rydia. This will let us get right into Unalesca. And an Earth Summon of our choice. We could go for something like a Hecaton. We can break backups like the Nordstalin. We can threaten to break Althea. We do go for Hecaton, in fact, but it is not a backup breaking one. It is a board clearing one.
I have to imagine it's almost just to get that out of the deck. It's really not. I mean, like a lot of the forwards on Icewind are small, which is nice, but they're more than happy to replay most of them.
Yeah, also true. We've got Uke, we've got Locke. Can't quite tell if we have a Tomos or Evray or something that's going to let us start kind of going off on our cast chains here. Of course, it is only turn 2. Ryan still has Arcanist, Toto, and Hecaton, so we will pitch Lock for Uke, reveal the Google Moogle. Man, this card made a resurgence, huh? Wasn't used in a lot of lists, and now suddenly everyone's like, you know what? Being able to search out anything I want, that's pretty good. Do that.
Everyone kind of saw Sildra, realized that Chocomog is half a Sildra with an EX burst, and kind of said, I think I might be able to work with this.
So Dane steals Krista and a dead Rydia, hits a Geomancer back up into damage. Rydia, not a whole lot we're probably going to be doing with that, but the Krista's not bad. As again, we can force a discard from Ryan's hand. Ryan does get Weiss, but we don't have... Hey, there we go. That's a good play. Double Dull Freeze. Lock out the wind and the ice. Ooh, there's a Tomos. There's Mr. Spicy Atomos.
Interesting that we just cast the push. I wonder if there's... instead of just, opting to warp
for the
it and
warp.
kill the thing.
Yeah.
I guess
it is.
By keeping it on field, we are
but...
locking it down.
Well, and we're hoping that our opponent can't... We're kind of messing up their ice, which we can obviously cast a Tomos. And we do have Sid Haze, but I don't know if we have ice without the Tomos reactivation. What do we have? We have Azana, so you could do a Tomos and then pitch one for Azana, get 2 back, play Sid Haze. I don't know what you cast off of that. I guess you could free cast the Chocobo summon if you go search that out with Azana or even Chocolate. Yep, there's Mr. Atomos. No, just Atomos and pass. Okay. Sam not quite ready to go off on that big turn. I'm sure Ryan is very happy about that. He's got Robel in hand. He could put it out here. Yep, spend the crystal. Hits the Atomos, says, actually, you're going to get no value off of that.
I always forget Robel has that break monster effect until it comes up. It's like, oh, right, this
right?
thing can do that. It's an expensive monster break, but, you take what you got to get with this deck sometimes. And getting rid of Atomos is really, really critical.
Ryan throws his hand out. He won't get an entry effect for Vice because we don't have a Nero, but with the Unalesca, we'll get 1 card out of Sam's hand, and we'll get to Doll Freeze something, which presumably is going to be the Uke backup. Man, I don't know. I kind of, maybe it was too early, but I kind of wish Sam had gone off on that last turn because that Atomos just got no value. Here's a point of damage. It's a Chocobo summon. Sam is going to untap. I know we have a Sid Haze in hand. I don't know if we have alternate. Okay, we did draw Nagmalata, so we could Sid Haze, but I don't know what the follow-up for that would be. We do have Lock as well. You could hardcast Lock. And ideally, we do want to get this Robel off the field as well, right? Because we don't want to let Ryan just start getting an extra card every turn.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We got the Robel and the Weiss
The
with the
Weiss.
Unalesca, so we can just every turn use the Robo even as just a discard fodder.
Yeah. And I don't see any outright removal. We have plenty of Dull Freeze in hand, but I don't see anything that's just going to get this off the board.
Well, the Dull Freeze is nice, because then you can at least dig for removal in your opponent's deck with the Zidane, because we did not manage to Dull Freeze that.
It's true. And locking out the Unalesca at least prevents the Weiss hit. It'll just suck when to have the Robo keep getting backups, but of course that's exactly what Ryan is hoping for. Say, no, please let me start getting these backups. That's true. Ryan does have 4 full arts to 2 non-full arts. Looks like Sam is mathing out his turn. Of course, would have loved to have still had access to that Atomos this turn. Just start getting some free real estate, as it were. He does have an Asura in hand. The only 2 call. I guess he could get Atomos back, but he won't be able to benefit from it this turn. We actually pitched the lock. Going to get Biblos, maybe? Or Evray. Okay, yeah. I didn't know if we run Biblos in this deck, actually. Evray might be... Evray and Typhon, presumably, are our monsters.
Yeah,
And
most
Atomos,
likely.
of course.
I've seen occasionally you'll see like a one of Biblos to kind of pair with the lock, but it's not super common. You kind of, it's one of those things like Icewind, you got to play like, enough ice cards to play them, but you don't usually want to play most of them.
So we do Dull Freeze. He's forced to use it on the forwards. He steals Nero. Nero and Weiss were on top. That's kind of funny. We don't get any value off of the Sid Haze as far as like a card we can. Well, we can cast the next card for 0, right? So you could cast the Krista. I mean, it's not going to do anything though. Ryan is going to get a backup back off of Roble, which we can happily just pitch to the Unalesca, although Sam also doesn't have anything in hand right now, so you actually won't get it. It's basically meaningless. Yep, put out Biblos, put out Geomancer. Don't forget your Crystal, Ryan. There he goes. All right, and now we're in the top deck war. Who's got the better top decks? No Althea, no Atomos, so Sam is somewhat limited on how he can kind of like chain off, interact with this board. And the longer that Robel sits there, there's the more and more value it's going to get. We have an Alexander to draw a card, which we'll do. Anything useful? Ryan's, of course, got a little cast counter off to the left there. We could always party with Zidane and Sid Haze, keep trying to get more value from our opponent. Ooh, we do have a Chocobo in hand. We're going to Chocobo back Zidane. Draw a card, try to just kind of dig deeper, see if we can't find something useful. We got Melvin, not awful. It's a bit not really efficient to cast him at this point. We'd have to pitch everything, and then we'd have nothing to use off the backups we stand up. But it would be a third cast for Sid Haze, right? So we will get a double Dull Freeze off of that at least. Can't tell what that final card in Sam's hand is. He's got Melvin and Zidane. It kind of looks like a summon, maybe Chocobo.
I almost wonder if you cast the Heka you stole in here and try to clear out the Robo and the Weiss in one fell swoop.
He didn't steal Heka, did he? I thought he's got Rydia. Oh, now he stole Heka. Wait,
I'm seeing Nero and seeing like the little spindlies off to the side and thinking that's
I was like, are you a prophet, Nostradamus? He just stole Heka John Kyer. So
that's tricky though. Like, are you willing to wipe? How important is getting that Weiss and the Robo off the field?
So what did he Dull Freeze with Sid Haze? It looked like the Biblos. What was his other target? Did he pick? Okay, he picked Unalesca. There we go. So we are going to go for the party attack. Zidane will trigger. We steal a Scale Toad. I mean, not mad to see that. And Ryan will opt to take the point of damage. Physalis, Ryan's Biblos is online now. We just passed there, man. I wonder if we pitch our hand for the Scale Toad. This way, I mean, obviously you can't rip it out with the Unalesca, but... Oh no, the Biblos is frozen too, so maybe not. So maybe you actually do feel okay. Robo goes in, hits Rosa. There's damage 1. Here's damage 2, damage 3. Stiltskin and go in with the Prish. Ash threatening our opponent. Are we gonna Toto?
Have to imagine that's the play if we're going in this heavy, but that's a
No.
lot of
Just
good
says.
forwards.
I mean, he's got a big board too, though, right? So
Yeah, that's
even
what
if you
I'm saying.
Hecaton here, you're just knocking out your own board, and then he's still left with 2 9Ks. So Ryan probably feeling fine to just like, no, I'm just gonna keep pushing against you and do something about it.
Losing that
Yeah,
almost early really hurt Sam, though.
yeah.
Imagine how much crazier that last turn would have been if we had just 2 more backups to
Oh, it
play
would have
with.
been huge. Yeah, he's gotten no value off of that. And especially with these forwards on the field like Weiss, like Robo-Lackbell, Physalis, that give continued value when they stick around. Like, you're kind of seeing one of the weaknesses of Dull Freeze in that, hey, if this thing stays on the board, it doesn't matter if it's frozen, I'm still getting its powers.
Well, that's a good start with the Lulu.
What do you break here, the Physalis or the Biblos?
It depends on if you think you can get to if you can get to a Luso 7, you maybe break the Biblos, but if not, you've got to clear this Physalis, I imagine.
Yep, there goes Biblos. Draws a card. It does get you the card draw deeper too, which is nice. We have Zidane, Chocobo, and maybe Moogle in hand. I'm gonna Chocobo Lulu. Did we remember to Lulu target something for 5? You could make Physalis weaker, especially if you play into Hecaton. But I didn't see him point. He could have verbally said it. I think we have 2 search Moogles in hand. Yes, we do. I mean, we could turn that into anything we want, but it's sideways. I don't think we've used Evray yet, though.
I say we could use the Evray on that.
Is he up? I mean, he's probably up to what, 2, 3 casts. You could Evray go get a lock.
It's not
Bring
bad,
lockdown.
yeah. Lock down if we can Dull Freeze the Physalis for sure, that would be.
And you'd have the Sid Haze trigger from that as well. So you'd get to Dull Freeze 4 things on this board, and then maybe you're the one threatening lethal. Lulu, we'll get back Alexander. Okay, going for the draw. Are we trying to get to a Luso turn? The die that Ryan has is, I think that was cast 3 or cast 4.
Lulu, Alexander, Chocobo, Lulu. That's 4.
Okay.
So this would be 5. And Pot agreed.
Okay. Asura there, he does remember the Lulu there. Now I'm assuming we're going to go get Luso. Are we on 5? Yep, there's Luso. Is this 7? Well, it must be because that board just went bye-bye. Well, that was exactly what Sam needed. So he must, again, even if he didn't point at it, he might have verbally said it to Ryan. Players don't always point at everything. So, yeah, I said earlier we hadn't seen a 7 Luso in a minute, and hey, we just saw 7 Luso. And we've got the Sid Haze Dull Freeze. Oh my goodness, what a turn for Sam. Here comes the Dane. Mind if I take your Biblos? Larkeisha, Sid Haze. Wow, that flipped quick.
This Zidane is eating him alive too.
What do you do here, Daniel? Do you just drop Biblos? Yeah. Say, do you mind? May I, please, sir, please, may I have this in case you Toto me? Yep. You just reach out. I'll take that back. It looked so good for Ryan there for a moment, like putting on that pressure again, saying, hey, I've got more bodies. I'm going to put you to damage first. Deal with it. And Sam said, all right, I'll deal with it. How do you like the taste of 7 cost Luso? My goodness, what a turn.
That is what that win late game does. What a crazy line too.
I know. When he didn't have a Tomos, he didn't have Rosa. Like he didn't have anything to other than the Evray. He didn't have anything that was naturally just going to give him those resources back. But with the help of the Asura and just man, that was impressive
Lulu as well. Like the Lulu put in a lot of work there too.
Yeah, the Lulu. I mean, you know, it's funny too. I wonder if when they designed that card, if they had kind of always intended it to help in these board wipes the way it does, or if that just happens to be an effect on there that, oh yeah, that it ends up working really well with Luso. Because otherwise, decks like this or decks like Avalanche that have these 9Ks and something like Barrett that says I don't take damage, Luso wouldn't be able to clean those up. But Lulu is such a key part in letting you just nope, complete board wipe, go away.
I mean, not that it's even that hard to get Luso 7 and Luso 9.
Yeah, also true. Yeah, yeah. If you really had to, you just go for the second one. So Ryan will get to go first again. Does see Unaleska right away. Puts out Nero. Does pitch Unaleska, so he's either got the second one in hand or confident he can go get it with Iridia.
I think I saw Iridia in hand there.
So that's probably what he's getting ready to curve into on his next turn. There's the great Googly Moogly. We do already have a Uke in hand too, so if we were to find a Norstalin, we can search out an Althea. I see Chocobo, Asura, Melvin, and Chocomog. It's a lot of summons. We could cast... No, we're going to... Okay, yeah, we have the Melvin. That's right. Reveal a Google Moogle. I mean, that's not a bad card to reveal. Might have drawn double Roble for turn. Because he pitched one. I think he's got one left in hand. There's Rydia. So now we'll go search out our other Unaleska. As well as... What would you get here? Hecaton or Mist Dragon? No, he doesn't search out Unaleska? Well, so he searched out Rydia and Shiva, plays Weiss.
Is the other Unaleska in hand? We must have drawn it then.
Either that or he's just like giving up on that plan, which that seems strange just because you assume that that's what the deck's trying to do. But, and we're going to freeze. Yep, froze the Google Moogle. Sam giving up the Moogle as well, showing I'm not trying to retrieve here.
Any card in my deck, I've already got all the cards I need.
Right? Typhon gives a big achoo. Weiss is going to go 5 cards deep into the deck. Just in case we had more discard, didn't want to trigger it. He doesn't have another Unaleska in hand. Wow. No Crystal for Robo, but at least threatening, hey, I'm going to start getting extra value every turn. You've already spent your Typhon. What are you going to do about this?
This is kind of what you have to do against Wind a lot of the time, though, is you have to try to stick a threat and just dare them to deal with it. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of what the whole, we talked about Durando earlier. It's the same idea of, I'm going to try to outvalue you if you let this stick around. But if you don't, I'm going to try to beat you down. And also, we mentioned not having the Unaleska. The Robo can get us the Unaleska, too.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that's why he did it as well, feeling he can recur it that way. One nice thing, too, about going against Icewind is they don't really have any break zone hate. Most of the decks aren't on Edward either, so your break zone is usually pretty darn safe. Stiltskin will fetch us out an Evray. We could put down immediately, although we're technically exposing it to being broken at that point, but...
The card that would break it is currently sitting on field, so I would feel relatively safe on this.
Puts it out, reactivates. We have a Chocomog we could use to search. We can also just wait till our opponent's turn. No, we're going to do it. Asura reactivate backups. We could lock this turn. So you could search with the Moogle, or sorry, search with the what does he have in hand? Chocomog and Asura? If you Asura activate, no, we can't lock. Never mind. We are going to start getting our Robo value. Presumably we get the Unaleska back. There she is. Typhon not a forward, so Robo is very free to swing in and attack. On the stack, we want to make sure the card we're looking for does not get hit into damage. Is it the last Google Moogle? Is it a lock? Well, I guess this is searching for a Chocobo or a Moogle. Gets the Chocolate.
Yeah, as if Chocomog search targets weren't good enough. It does also search this card.
Oh my goodness. Bonus burst. He casts a Chocomog and then just hit one into... Oh, Sam. Talk about the toolbox. Like, my goodness. I mean, it's free real estate right there, baby.
That's about as rough as it gets for Ryan. I can really feel for
Oh,
him
for
there.
sure. And again, Icewind again doesn't have a lot of EX bursts. Like other than the Chocomog, I can't even think what other ones are in there. So, woo.
Yeah, we're just trying to freeze down that Moogle, saying, "Come on, you can't use it."
Yeah. Well, even though Evray's right there to be like, well, yes, he can actually. Evray's ability, to quote Michael Byrne. Here comes Chocolate. We've got the Ice Moogle in hand too. We could easily go to 5 if we wanted to. Although then all of our backups are set. I don't know if we'll care about that. Evray stands up, uses Asura. Now we can go search out the lock or the Sid Haze. The one benefit being, if we do get lock or Sid Haze, again, Robel will at least keep getting us value, even if he's dull frozen. There is the one cost Chocobo as well, yeah, and the Alexander. Good point out, Hunter. Does he run the one cost Chocobo, the one that lets you dig for characters? Do you have his deck list?
I don't know. I'll take a peek at the deck list real quick.
Thank you, sir. All right, we know he's got the Alexander. He's sifting through. I'll see if I can't see it in there.
We have one copy of the one cost Chocobo.
Okay. We do opt to get Lulu off of our Moogle. Could have gotten a Tomos, could have gotten Lock, anything in the world. And Sam says, I want this Lulu. I want to continue these cast chains. Lulu's going to recur a summon. You could just do the Asura. You can keep it going. You can cast that Alexander to draw 2 cards. Although, yeah, if we tap the Chocolate, we're not going to be able, because I think we already used Evray, didn't we? Lulu sets Prish to 5. Draws 2 cards. We've got Chocobo. We can keep on going if we want. And we've got another Asura and another Alexander. Oh my gosh, we could draw 2 deeper if we want. Oh, and yeah, Typhon is a forward. Prish has been reduced to 5,000. Ryan just goes ahead and blocks with the Prish. Sam just spreading out his break zone. Nice fan. And those keeping track of the Typhon counter in the chat telling us that Weiss is on top. He is trying to get to that card, which Typhon was the only forward that was able to attack. So unless we play Zidane, Ryan should be able to draw that card.
Can you imagine?
Right.
Surprise main phase 2 Zidane.
Sam gave a pass that looked like that's enough for now. Good news for Ryan is that even though Sam's starting to get to that critical mass point, he still has the Roble. He's going to get another backup back, add some card value to hand. I don't know. Do you take the time to keep building your backups here, or do you try to go aggressive with your resource denial, like the Weiss into the Nero into, I don't know, Biblos or Unileska or something?
Man, we're looking at Shantoto in the break zone, it looks like.
You don't really want to Shantoto this board.
I know, right? Like, imagine going for that. He doesn't know about the Chocobo in hand, but like that would just be such a punish too if you go for that and then just, okay, cool, I'll take the Lulu back. You can have the Typhon.
The Ryan has had multiple instances to use this Unileska. He had it in his opening hand, so he is clearly not valuing it for this game.
And
I don't know if he
abandoned that game plan entirely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because it's like, hey, I don't want to hurt my own resources because it costs me 3 CP every time to do it, or he just doesn't think it's enough. But he said, nope, we're not doing that. We're going for something else. Krista with the random discard. Chocobo summon. You're not happy to see that one go. And we'll get another dull freeze. Locked out of ice, at least until Evray says, he said no. And then we'll have our ice right back. Typhon can, of course, freely swing into this. I'm sure he'll happily trade with either of these forwards. As long as Ryan can keep that Roble on the field, he's got a chance. We've got Alexander in hand on Sam's side, so we could break this Krista pretty easily as long as we can get a win forward down. Probably don't want to hard cast that if possible.
So what's in Sam's hand? I see the Azura.
There's an Azura and I think Alexander because the Chocobo got to start it, so I think he still has an Alexander. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we know Azura for sure.
And I think I agree with you on the Alexander. So whatever that other card is, because we could like, if we really want to crack the Krista and try to cantrip, we could like Azura for the
You've got the Moogle,
Luso
you've
and
got the
play it.
Luso. Moogle,
Would
of
like to
course,
get
lets you
you want
get.
to get another cast in there if you can though.
Yeah.
2 Chocobos in the break zone. I think that's probably all of them in the deck. Most players are only on 2 of that card right now. So until we get another Lulu into rotation, that's probably it for that card.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking at bare minimum, if he wants to do anything, again, you could hard cast the Alexander. Ooh, a little bonus burst of his own for Ryan. Now we get back one more card of value. Swinging it with the Lulu, we're trying to bait out the trade with the Alexander summon. Ryan will take both points to damage. Asura is going to get us back our Search Moogle, okay, which we're immediately going to use. Wonder what he's going to look for. And we'll go ahead and put Weiss to 5. What do you look for here?
Tomos seems pretty nice if we just want to set
Yeah.
up for a future turn. I don't really think there's all that much we want right here, right?
Not with all of his backups tapped and only, what, 2 cards in hand?
Have we used Evray this turn?
I don't remember. It's so hard to keep track of all these casts. I don't think we used Evray, but I'm not.
Oh, we're on 3.
sure.
We are on 3 Naked Chocobo.
Obviously, you can Chocobo. Okay, so we cast the Asura. Did he pitch something for the Asura, or did he use the Evray?
That's the Evray trigger.
Okay,
For
that was the Evray trigger. So now Evray has been used. Here comes Chocobo on Lulu. Right back to our hand. Draw a card. I think we drew a Tomos. A little late for the cast on this turn, but we'll have it for next turn, assuming our hand doesn't get discarded. Here it comes again. We're going to actually pitch the Atomos. I mean, we can always get it back with the Asura. Go for the Alexander.
Wonder where
Immediately
we're going with
cast
this.
Is he trying to build towards a Luso? Draws 2. I mean, he's cast a ton of cards.
Yeah, it's a very strange terminal to feel like to be going all in like this.
Or maybe he was digging for something that he didn't find. He did give up the Atomos. Yeah, that can be my only, is he was trying to maybe build towards a Luso hit, but I just don't. Yeah, I think he's out of resources to do it with. I wonder if he should have just held on to the Atomos, been patient. No, he does get the free cast off of Alexander this way, so he will get to draw deeper. Krista's gone. There's North Stalin. I don't know if you want to be playing that at this moment, but always play Azana, try to get out that last Chocobo summon. I'm not sure what the cast counter is. It's got to be relatively high though, right? It's got to be in the 5 or
6 at
6.
this point. I imagine if we have Luso, it's got all of its text. But I don't think we have it.
Zana, go get us a Chocobo. I mean, are we going to try to just, cast that and hope we hit Luso? But we won't even have anything to cast it, right? Because we only have one other card in hand.
We're out of Chocobos. The only one we have is the 3-cost Chocobo left in deck. Not the 3-cost, the 1-cost Dig 3.
Maybe. I mean, so it goes back to Ryan. Ryan is going to get a Robel trigger. This could be a quote unquote opening for Ryan that while Sam did do a lot of stuff there, it didn't ultimately amount to much other than just getting rid of the Krista.
I think he just kind of went down on hand size and killed Krista is really all that did. I mean, he
Yeah.
like thinned his deck out some, but I don't even know if that's a good thing because all of our Chocobos are basically gone now. I don't think we can even bounce the Lulu back to hand.
And hits Azana and Althea. There's Prish. We're going to keep the Typhon down, lock out the Ice back up, which of course Evray can change, but finally put the Unalesca down. Maybe Ryan now feeling like he's got a good enough board state that he's like, okay, maybe I can go for a kill. I mean, we're threatening lethal next turn. We have the attackers.
I'll say this is maybe the most value a no break on entry Robo has ever gotten, by the way.
So here's Rosa. There's Cast the First. We'll stand Evray. stand up and immediately cast the Chocobo. Lock Althea and Lulu. Probably not Lulu. We can, of course, cast Zidane for the third cast. Rosa's going to give us all the... you get Lock, right? No? You go for the
I don't
Lulu.
know. If we're trying to crash or threaten, but like if you go for this way, he knows that you just let the Lulu through on attack.
And you would have been able to lock here if he'd have
Maybe we have
grabbed
to
that.
just pitch it for the Zidane. We don't have a better card. Yeah, that's...
Well, no, because he pitched... What did he pitch? I think he pitched another Lulu for the Zidane. So he
pitched a
had the
Lulu
win
for the
CP. Would have gotten the backups back off the Rosa, and then he could have just locked off of 2 backups. Huh.
What's the last card in hand? He's down to just 1 in hand, it looks like.
I don't know.
Oh, Larcacus. That is such a good hit, by the way.
Yeah, I'm assuming he was clearly digging for the Luso. Larquicious, yes, is a good hit too, where you can revive a monster. But I mean, Sam has to be careful here. Like again, his opponent can just freeze his board out and then swing in and kill him.
And that Lark has actually got to be really tempting now here too. We can go for the Larcacus and then get back our Atomos that way.
He does have... Okay, that's why. He had Lock in hand.
Okay. So we're just looking for something we were willing to throw away to play the Zidane now.
Yep. That makes more sense. So Rosa just came out. She can't attack. Zidane can. We've got an open board. Zidane says, give me a good card. It's Arcanist. I don't know if that's quite what we were looking for. Here comes Izana. Here's Physalis. Here comes Lulu. Okay. And just he swung it right back the other way. And we still have 2 backups up, so we can get either a Chocolate counter or we can protect our Rosa in case it tries to get targeted with abilities. Robel is, of course, still going to get us another backup, and Vice is untargetable right now, which is quite nice. Do you go for a Toto here? You just blow this board out? Yeah, I think that's what Ryan's thinking.
And there's no monsters kind of hanging off to the side. The Lark next turn is going to go a little bit nuts by getting the Atomos back, but...
No, he doesn't go for the Toto. I guess, did he have enough for it anyway? Okay, pitches for the YTK. Gets rid of the Lock, which is our biggest forward on Sam's side. If Sam can find a way to push these 2 forwards out of the way, I mean, he's got a clean shot. I mean, does he even need that? Between all the bodies he has, can he just run into him? The Vice is a 9K, untargetable.
It's going to take 2 of them to get over the Weiss, because none of them do it individually. +1, no. He would sacrifice his whole board, I think, and he'd only would clear.
We play Larquicious. We get back Atomos. That was the first cast, so if we can cast one more thing, we activate Evray, Stid Haze. Uh-oh. That's double Atomos, but we don't have anything for the third cast for the Dull Freeze. Or do we? Yes, because we can play the Arcanist backup that we stole with Zidane.
We're not
oh
on
my
5
goodness
backups yet? Oh, no way.
Bro. The
we
Sid
had
Haze.
to steal a 2 CP backup, and we did.
Oh, those 2 CPs steal. Oh, it's happening, baby. So we can't freeze the Weiss, but you obviously just hit Robel and I guess Rydia. It doesn't really matter. You party it, and then you don't technically even need to party attack. You can just send them in one at a time. Like, he's going to block 2, but you've got, what, 5 attackers?
Could he have hit 2 better cards off of Zidane? You needed a 2 CP backup, preferably in ice. Not that
There's
it even
Sephiroth.
really
Oh my goodness. Yep. Oh man. Congrats to Sam Tool. Ice win. I thought maybe Ryan had a chance again when Sam, he went so hard on that cast turn, digging, and he didn't really have much to show for that. So I thought, oh, maybe this is an opening for Ryan. And like you said, he kept the Robel around for so long and got so much recursion value, but was just not meant to be. Every time, there's a few times where I thought Ryan looked like, oh, okay, he's got a chance. And Sam just said, no, you don't. Blow away in the wind. Heck of a match. And like you said too, Daniel, those Zidane steals were just like, mwah, pretty much just what he asked for. And here, have a piece of gum, sir.
Jeez.
I mean, wow, that was crazy. So Ryan, do you think, would it have made a difference if he had like he had the Unalesca turn 1. Do you think it could have made a difference if he just slapped it and tried to go on really hard on that?
It's so hard because I mean we saw there on so few cards, Sam got so much value.
Yeah.
Even without like an Althea down, I thought you had to have like Althea to do something. No, he just kind of did it.
Yeah. No Althea, no Atomos. Rosa showed up near the end, but yeah, that was mostly just no. I don't need those cards. I'll just
We
do it
saw
anyway.
Althea go to damage.
Yeah. He's at least on one Althea. I don't know if he's on more than that.
Okay, cool. So we are going to get actually the second half of the other part of top 4.
Oh, nice. They're moving over.
So, yeah, it sounds like we're going to get. I think it was Emmanuel won game 1.
Oh, awesome. We'll get to see Emmanuel's deck. I know Kyle's on Mono Water. I want to see what Emmanuel's playing.
I believe Emmanuel's on Mono Water as well.
So I'm pretty sure that's Kyle on the left there. So Emmanuel should be sitting on the right side.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead and pause that timer.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't take too long. Sub 40 minutes. We got 2 games in. Man, that's just kind of crazy. Like, if you compare the 2 matches from top 8 to top 4, where Ryan made the Earth Lightning just kind of look like it couldn't even hang with the Ice Earth, right? It was just like, dude, you don't even belong in the same matchup. And then the Ice Wind almost did the same thing to the Ice Earth, said, no, actually, you don't belong in this matchup. Like, it's just kind of crazy how strong those decks looked.
1 second. I'm going to go make sure who's sitting where, and I'm going to double check that I heard right who won game 1. But this will be game 2.
Excellent. So for those of you just joining us, we actually just finished 1 round of top 4, which was Ryan Chen versus Sam Toole. Sam took it 2-0, was playing Ice Wind versus Ryan Chen's Ice Earth. And now looks like we are catching up on the other game that is midway through rounds. I believe 1 game has finished, so this will probably be game 2. It was said that they thought Emmanuel won game 1, but we're trying to confirm that to be sure, so sit tight. I'm curious to know if Emmanuel's on Leo or not. He had been favoring that in recent weeks, but I'm not sure if he's still rocking it.
All right. So yeah, it was Emmanuel that had the game 1 win.
I see water in his deck. Octomammoth. Yeah, I'm guessing he's on Leo.
I will double check in just a second.
So
Emmanuel,
Sam
your name is
Toole.
too long.
Yeah. Sam Toole on his way to the finals. Nothing against KP, but as he was in the last finals, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing Emmanuel go to this one. And I'd love to see, can Leo hang with Ice Wind? How does water do against Ice Wind? In the past, Wind is always beaten up on water, but is it different with the ice in there?
I think Ice Wind should be favored against water, just traditionally in the way I'm thinking this should play out, because a lot of what Modern's power is concentrated in those monsters that just get to hang out. But the only matchup it isn't that way is this one exactly.
Yeah. Well, Emmanuel luckily had a mulligan because I don't know if you saw his hand. He drew double Leviathan Lord of the World, double Ash, and a Leviathan summon.
This is not a Leo list. This is just plain old, normal, classic mono water.
Okay, so this is just a mono water mirror.
I feel like I'm back in San Diego.
Right? Turn 1 Purim. Ghoul, do you need me to fan you? I don't want you to get PTSD. Although it was a different Purim. Dude, Emmanuel's hand is terrible too. Another Leviathan Lord of the World. I mean, he gets a blue worm. He's like, please give me a backup or a Sildra. Tidus. I mean, you could go turn 1 Tidus. Dare that Purim to hit it. I think there's a Toneberry too, or is that Tros? There's Toneberry. Draw again. Can we get something?
Keep digging.
Oh my goodness. Mono water aggro, the next dimension.
Just what you expect to see when you see 2 mono water players going at it.
It kind of does go this way, right? It's either you see Sildra and then you get all your backups that you want, or you don't see Sildra and then you're doing nothing. Here's Echidna. We'll get back a summon. The classic 3 monster opening.
And only spent 3 cards in hand to do it.
Right, and we are going in on the Tidus. All right, one of Daniel's favorite cards, the burn cards coming out.
It's going to be good in this matchup, I guess. What's he gonna do to get rid of it?
Yeah, does he have anything that doesn't target? You can use the what's it called? You can use the Leviathan to cancel its auto ability. That's like your biggest thing against it.
Yeah, these are the other two top 4 players. This is game 2. Game 1 happened off stream, and Emmanuel took that one. So,
Oh, we got a Una backup in Kyle's hand. Let's go. Backup gaming.
oh, that hand is very wretched, though.
And we're going to play Kadaj. Plays Tros. Porum gets counter. We draw Poo Poo and Sildra. Okay. So it would cost us our entire hand, but we can go in with Sildra for Emmanuel. Here comes Titus. Oh, EX Burst worked too. Yeah, that's the other way to get rid of Titus. Poo Poo says discard a card, draw 2. Oh, I forgot my bonus burst. And we get, ooh, dude, there was 2 more EX bursts sitting on top there. A 6-cost Leviathan and a 3-cost Opus 1 Leviathan.
I mean, that's the key. The whole deck is EX bursts.
Yeah, and that's one way to get around Titus. So Emmanuel, like, very doesn't realize how close he came to getting the old Titus burst there. Probably just hold the soldier, right? Because you can do it at the end of Kyle's turn if you really want to. Unless you absolutely want to back up. What you could do is you could Sildra, get Una, get something else you want to throw away, and then throw that away for the Una. But then you're in top deck mode.
And then you don't get to do the thing where you get the summoner back up to get the
Right.
soldier back. So I have to imagine we're just going to hold right here.
Yeah. Yeah, because this Porum doesn't really, I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be a scary card, but against Titus, it's not going to do anything. No, he goes in for it now.
So there's maybe an argument to do it now so you don't lose the summoner back up permanently. Like if you like take a point of damage here from the Porum and all of a sudden
you'd hate to see it go. You could also just get any card for fodder here. Take your least valuable non-2-cost card and grab it so you
Porum's
can
actually kind of a problem for Emmanuel right now. If it's making her the Echidna so much worse.
Yeah. Well, but it can't turn the Echidna back into a monster, right? It'll still be a Floored with 8K.
But it does mean that like if he ever attacks with it, it's a bad Tonberry now as opposed to
it won't draw.
So
and obviously,
that's a big difference.
Yeah, and Porum with 1 more counter will also then say, "Hey, I'll turn anything into 1,000 power." So that's good for me.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue to bounce that eventually and clear that counter, but it is going to pose a problem for that Echidna. And the Tonberry as well, for that matter.
So do we pitch for the Una right now, or we're just patient? Yeah, we're just patient.
I'm surprised we didn't get Summoner plus the Una or something.
Yeah, if we weren't going to play it, I don't know. Because it's not like he can play the Geomancer on curve next turn anyway, so... Little strange. Speaking of Geomancer, Kyle will draw Geomancer, set it up off of Una, and just passes. Says, nope, that's good enough for me. Go ahead, play your backups. Ash, of course, has a 6-cost do-nothing card at the moment. And is it going to be a... Oh, there's a summoner. Oddly enough, hits a backup. One of the few ones in this deck. Pitch for Ash for Una, and yeah, pass right back. Blue Worm is a pretty easy play for Kyle. He can just draw a little deeper. I'm kind of surprised he just hasn't slammed out Kadaj yet. Just start eating away at the break zone. There's Sildra.
Probably just looking to get it at the right time, I imagine, as far as the curving out. We only had 1 backup, for a couple turns there.
Yeah. I would say because Emmanuel can't really, he doesn't have much in hand. It's doubtful he's going to be able to do anything to the card.
But especially now that the Una's on field too. Big Leviathan would be annoying for it, or even Little Leviathan make you pay more to get him on field.
Yeah.
4 CP for...
And if that Kadaj can keep resolving every turn, I mean, you're essentially telling your opponent, you're never going to let me.
Yeah.
There's a nice tap off the Una for the Geomancer. Kyle does still have 5 in hand, so he can just pass if he wants to, but he is going to go for Echidna, get back Sildra. And we know what that means for next turn. Porum, now a beefy 8K. Manuel draws Una for turn. Presumably, here comes Titus. And it will be damage 3 equals a bonus burst. However, it is only a 6,000 power reduction. So we can target this Tidus, but that will trigger Tidus. So we probably don't want to do that because it's not going to kill it.
You can see when he kind of holds the card, he's like, well, I can do this, but I'm not going to.
Right?
Yeah, Tita's doing his best wave motion cannon impression over here.
Right?
He's doing a point of damage every turn. That's the only thing the card does.
Yeah, that's what it's meant for. And then punish them if they target it. Emmanuel does have the forward canceling Leviathan in hand, so should Kyle, I don't really know what he'd play because again, Tidus is the only target anyway, but he can soldier here, just keep curving out on the backups. Tros is also online. Is Tros's target, is it mandatory or is it optional?
It is mandatory. When you attack with Tros, you have to bounce if you can. I'm pretty sure.
I'll look it up really quick. Tros, when Tros attacks, choose a forward of cost 4 or less opponent controls. Yep, so he would be forced to target Tidus if he were to attack with it.
It'd be kind of funny to watch them just trade echidnas, although I guess the Porum makes the echidna win the trade. On
hey,
Kyle's side.
It's a bonus burst. Waka, and we reveal, Big Daddy Leviathan, Little Bismarck, and Mr. Sildra. Probably the Sildra, yep. Let the Sildra Wars begin on stream.
Emmanuel still got the Summoner in deck, so we should be able to kind of cycle the Sildra a couple times if we want to.
Absolutely. I think Kyle's got too many in hand. I mean, is there a reason not to do the Kadaj? Like, is there something he's worried about? The big 6 cost levy, maybe?
Big 6 levy, even 2 CP levy is, like I said, that just turns Kadaj into 4 CP, remove 2 cards from your opponent's break zone. Or, I mean, maybe even 4 if it takes you a turn to get there. But it's really not very safe in this matchup because water has so much interaction on the opponent's turn. With the sheer quantity of summons. Even something like a Cullen on him is a problem because then he doesn't go away.
Kyle does bite the bullet here. He targets the Tidus. So Tidus, of course, does his Blitzball impression, kicks Porum to the bottom of the deck.
That is a weird one. I mean, I know that there's also an argument for mono water mirrors going to deck out. Might be trying to accelerate that a bit.
Yeah.
But that Porum was quite powered up at that point. I guess we also were trying to see if...
Ooh, it's a reverse Porum. I think Emmanuel's maybe considering activating the Toneberry there for a moment and just stabbing. You could even do the Echidna and just stab the Tros. And now we Sildra again for Kyle. I guess I wonder too, though, like what's the purpose of having the Kadaj if you're not going to use it? And granted, maybe it wasn't intended for this matchup.
I'd say it's probably for a different matchup at that point. Cutting off like the Warrior of Light deck's recursion, there's a lot less answers to Kadaj in those decks.
With his ability to flip in and out every turn, though, you're forcing Emmanuel to target him on your turn.
Yeah, but again, that's really not that difficult for Mono Water to do, I feel like.
That's fair. That is a deck with a lot of on your opponent's turn interaction. We got Waka and Artemisian. I'm going to play one of those two right now. Artemisian, obviously, we can do on curve off our backups. No, looks like he's going for the Waka. We've got 70 people in chat watching. Thank you for joining us as we bring this final round of the top 4. Waka comes in and says, okay, brother, you asked for it. We see Leviathan, Lord of the World, Toneberry, Big Levi, probably Toneberry or Big Levi. No, he goes for the Big Leviathan. What's the big summon? Either to throw away or to potentially use. Gives up the blue worm, Artemisian, so we basically get a mulligan, but doesn't opt to use it. Says no. See, okay, so that's it. So he must value the Kadaj then, because, right, you could just get that dark card out of your hand there.
Yeah, you could put the Kadaj back in the deck if you wanted to on that one for a free mulligan. That's very strange.
Well, yeah, I guess I would wonder, like, you clearly value it enough to get knocked, so why not then just play it out?
I mean, I guess we want to see what Emmanuel does, because after the Tidus, Emmanuel's going to start this turn with, like, 8 cards in hand, right?
Yeah.
So, like, maybe you want to see if you can get him to play his hand out a little bit. See, there's a less of a chance of having, like, a 2 CP levy bounce. But
But I
you're
mean,
right. If you're that scared of it, you would think you would just pseudo mulligan it away.
yeah.
That is another option. You could be trying to eat multiple big levies with it and use it as just a
Yeah.
finisher for it. But
If of course they got to see deck list beforehand, so Emmanuel should know it's lurking somewhere in the deck. Lena, of course, will get us some more targets. Blue Worm gives us a draw. Another Ash, which we can't quite use yet. There's no targets for it, and
my hand is so massive right now.
I know. Geomancer, we've got to do more. We've still got too many cards in hand. Mono water in, too many cards.
And the Congo line's getting set up over there.
It is. And he's on 3 damage. So if we can clear a field, we're ready to just dun 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 dun. Your favorite burn spell is back.
Yep, we put down the wave motion cannon again. So we did all that work to get it off the field, and lost our Porum for it, and
If
come right back.
if what's it called? If they ever made like an animated style like arena based app for FF, I want Titus to enter and say, Daniel, tonight, you.
I have had that card do the flip kick on me about 3 times ever. So just because my decks tend to have a good answer to it, but that doesn't mean most decks do, and there really isn't one in mono water mirrors. Probably the best thing you can do is to continually target and try to deck the opponent out with it.
Yeah. Kyle has 10 cards in the break zone, and he does have a Leviathan in hand. He also has a big one in the break zone, talking about the 9 cost. I don't think he has Lena, but he could hard cast it if he really wanted to. Again, you're targeting Titus a bunch.
You're putting Titus, you're targeting Titus, and like what? You're going to put a blue worm back in hand so we can keep.
So maybe not that efficient of a move, but here comes Kadaj finally. Okay. So we're not going to dull Titus. We're not giving anything 2K Brave, so presumably we're going to exile some cards. Oh, we had an Alphino in there. Yep. Alphino and Lord of the World will go bye-bye. Time for Kadaj. Start putting in some work. And yeah, we just go to the end phase. Kadaj flips. We have our own conga line we can animate, but yeah, I mean, technically, Emmanuel is threatening lethal every turn now.
Yeah,
and he's got enough in hand, like he could just go, okay, bounce it back. I mean, he's got to always be worried about EX burst, of course, but
yeah, we might end up actually just crashing the Congo lines into each other too, which would be hilarious.
Yeah, the dance of death. No monster remained alive afterwards. And I think Emmanuel must be considering that. Yep, went right to combat before playing anything. There's Lady Lena. He's got Leviathans in hand, so he can bounce. Wait, what are we doing? Okay, he does activate Toneberry. Here comes Toneberry. He's got his chef's knife prepped. He's ready to just... Are we going to sacrifice the blue worm to it? Or do we bounce? We've got 1 Opus, 1 Leviathan in hand, so we could bounce the blue worm out of the way. Or do we just let them trade? We've got 2 Opus 1 Leviathan. I mean, this could be lethal. Draw off a Atros. Oh, should he have drawn that off a Atros? Or is it when your opponent's
Atros is only for opponent's mounts.
Opponent's forwards, okay. Porum. I mean, we could... Do we go for it? You've got more bounces. Emmanuel's got to be... I can tell he's hungry for that line.
Well, if nothing else, putting your opponent to damage 6 while you have a Titus on field does say answer this or lose.
Yeah, basically says you must target this turn. No, okay. He's patient.
I mean, the Congo line ain't going anywhere.
That's also true, yeah.
The Congo line's still good next turn. You don't have to worry about that.
The conga line danced around the arena. They're out in the parking lot taking a smoke break, but trust me, when that next song cues up, they're going to be right back in there to start the music with the band. So we'll go to end step. Lena didn't remove anything. So, okay, Lena maybe there just to protect against the Kadaj. Says, nope, you're not going to remove any more forwards. Toneberry gives us 1 more protector. Presumably, we would have given maybe Kadaj 2K Brave there.
Yeah, try to just get in. Although, yeah, the Tomberry's dull, so that we are safe doing that.
Yeah.
Pump the Tros. Does Tros remember the power bump when he goes back to being a monster at the start of his turn? That there's no way that's how that works.
I don't see how it could if it stops being a forward.
Yeah.
Because monsters aren't able to have power. I didn't think, but I'm assuming White Mage or some of the other judges are there watching. So
We'll find out shortly, I guess, in
yeah.
combat.
I mean, we've got a lot of tricks in our hand. We've got Lena, Toneberry to draw.
I mean,
The Leviathan does now have some targets to hit with the opposing Lena. And, technically, Kyle also has his own 5 attackers on board as well. Of course, we've got the conga line to help, but there is a world where Kyle could kill him this turn. And we hit a bonus burst in Mr. Poo Poo. We are going to give up our Leviathan to draw 2. We do have an Opus 1 Leviathan in hand, so we shouldn't die if that scenario does happen to come up.
I'm going to assume that's correct. I wouldn't be surprised if it could keep the Brave as a keyword, but doesn't remember the power.
I wonder why, though, because can monsters have Brave? I don't know. I have no idea how that interaction works, what they do and don't forget.
If it is, it's a super cool interaction. I would never even think of. So, like, props to Kyle for finding that.
Activating Echidna. Yeah, Kyle could be going for lethal here. Manuel's going to have to give up. Not getting much help on the burst here. So he's got 7 cards in hand. Holy moly. Puts out his own Tidus.
Before the end of the main phase, everybody. It's...
Man. Okay. So we have our own unblockable Tidus. We've got 4 active defenders, 3 monsters with the Tros, the Toneberry, the Blue Worm, and our own Tidus, which can block one of the other monsters. Emmanuel has 5 potential attackers this turn, and of course, any bevy of summons that Kyle has in his hand.
This is where not getting that extra point of damage in last turn with the Congo line, while there's a little bit more of an opening, is now causing a problem, because now Tidus by himself doesn't represent the end of the game.
Right. You've got the summon cancel Leviathan in hand, or the auto ability cancel Leviathan in hand. So you could like Ash on this Tidus. Nope, just goes right into combat. Unless Kyle's willing to target it, he's going to 6. Hits a Blue Worm into damage. Emmanuel has to be careful of the crackback here, though. Kyle can easily swing back, especially with the... I think he actually has to kind of go for lethal here. Unless he's planning to just try to defend forever with these. Gonna activate Toneberry. Kyle must block this attack. If he doesn't get rid of the Toneberry with a summon. Both players just anxious to use something for their hand. Might be playing some stack chicken here. Although I think Kyle has way more interaction in his hand than Emmanuel does. Okay, so the Blue Worm will chump the Toneberry.
Yeah, I feel like from this position, Kyle's actually probably got it, right? 2 damage with a Tidus on field. We just have to get one of our other monsters in. We're gonna need...
You think Kyle's got it or Emmanuel's got it?
I think Kyle's favored here.
Well, so he has to block every attack coming in. So like this Echidna is going to kill some, presumably the Toneberry if we don't bounce it. Now, granted,
Oh,
Tros can block more than one worm, but
yeah, but
we have a
Emmanuel's
Leviathan in
out of
hand.
Emmanuel's out of interaction, so he can't get past these monsters at all. And all Kyle has to do is get a single monster from his conga line through, and he's got the Echidna and the Tros that aren't going anywhere. Like, this has to be a summon on the draw, and that's not the right summon.
Hmm.
Like, that had to be like a 2 CP Leviathan or something.
And Toneberry will just gut Echidna. Echidna's going down. But I mean, didn't he have the 2 CP Leviathan in hand? Did he pitch it?
He pitched it to animate the Echidna. He didn't have any other summons in hand to
He has
use.
the summon cancel Leviathan. He could have used that.
Oh, okay.
So if he'd have used that, then he could swing right now, bounce the Tros. Well, of course he's got Tidus as a blocker too. Yeah, yeah, like you said, Emmanuel really needed to he really needed to kind of push him to 6 that previous turn. So that basically says you must target Tidus, in which case Tidus is then going to disappear and send something else off your board. And
So we're gonna have to go for Big Levy now in main 2. But that's only gonna answer. I mean, it's gonna answer. So we're not dead this turn. Wait, we're on 5 or 6 for Emmanuel. We're on 5, right?
yes, we're on 5, so
We
he
have
can
the
take one
Kadash
hit.
coming back. So as long as Kyle has 2 bounce summons for the 2 blue worms.
Well, and Kyle has 1 CP Kuchaline in hand, so this Leviathan is not going to get its power drain.
Oh, so yeah, so even there, the Tidus isn't going anywhere unless Emmanuel targets it for part of the bounce, which maybe you do it anyway just to get it off the field in case of the Cucullin. This is such a like weird game state.
So big Leviathan, Primal, Lord of the World will be coming. We can get rid of 3 things if we want. We can target a monster, a backup, and Tidus. Of course, Tidus then will flip himself and presumably send.
But I mean,
I
he
don't
could
know.
get punished if he doesn't choose. I mean, you have to choose the Tidus to bounce with the Leviathan
Yeah,
here, right?
I don't think you can let that extra attack in. And think of deck size too. Surely these guys have drawn a lot of cards.
I almost wonder, yeah, so bouncing.
Oh, you know what though? He has the auto ability cancel still in hand, so he could cancel the Tidus flip.
Oh, but that would be so punishing if he did that.
So presumably we're going to respond with no. He responds with his own auto. He says, "You think you can cancel? I can cancel too."
Oh, that's so tough. Because now we have the Kadash. The Kadash can come in and just dull the Lena and the Leviathan. We only have the 2 blue worms to block, and we have our own Lena Leviathan in hand.
Well,
Kyle's
Kadash
got this.
can dull one of them.
Oh, Kadash dulls 1?
Yeah, he doesn't
I
dull 2.
I think you still feel pretty okay with that.
Yeah. So what you would do is you dull the Leviathan because then Tros can just bounce the Lena, and then
You gotta
your
be
only
careful with that a little
defense.
bit, because then the Leviathan's gonna get the big old shrink.
That's
But
true.
I mean, but we still have the coup in hand. We just coup the Leviathan at the start
Yeah.
of the turn.
So yep, we go to end phase. We dull big Leviathan. We've got 4 potential attackers. Currently, Emmanuel has 3 blockers for 2 points of damage. And the only form of interaction in his hand is stopping an auto ability. He could have put out the Tros there too, and he chose not to. We do blank Big
I
Leviathan.
mean, it puts out the Tros. He doesn't have the cards in hand to cast the summon, the
But
cancel.
what's he gonna cancel here? I guess other than a returning Leviathan, I guess that's the other thing he's worried about.
That's pretty good worry.
Yep, that is a good worry. That's fair.
He's about to get hit by one in a little bit here.
Of course, we'll see the return cancel. Any bounce, of course, will trigger our own Leviathan and not our opponent's. Let me pull up Leviathan really quick, see if he's a mandatory.
I mean,
Lord
you
of the
could just choose the
World.
same forward twice. You bounce Big Levy, shrink the Lena twice.
Yeah, I just didn't know if he'd be forced to hit Tidus in a. Yeah, it will be a mandatory pick, so
Yeah, but you just pick the Lena twice on the stack if you don't want to target the Tidus.
Yeah. So it'll get canceled. We won't get the entry bounce. Well, I was just thinking if he bounces like one more time, like the Tros.
Oh, right.
Because Tros will have to pick Lena or Tidus. In which case Leviathan will then have to pick the remaining one. If Tidus hasn't already kicked it away. Emmanuel has one card in hand. I'm pretty sure it's Tros. I don't think Kyle has any more tricks in his
one
hand.
card in hand. We still have the Cullens. We can animate our own Echidna. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers, attackers, one of which is unblockable, into 3 blockers. This should be game.
So Tros will bounce the Lena. But now Leviathan has... Well, like he can shrink the opposing Leviathan. That's right. He doesn't have to target Tidus. Yeah, I don't see how Emmanuel needs a burst to save his life right here. He's going to animate. Block with the blue worm. Here comes Kadaj. Look at that Kadaj card. Pretty good, right?
It's a little decent.
An untargetable card on their turn. Here comes Tidus. He hits a burst. I don't know if that's going to matter other than draw him into something. You probably blank Kadaj, right? Because that way he can't flip at least. Don't pick Tidus because Tidus can already bounce. Or you hit the opposing Leviathan. No, because you probably want to be forced to target the Tidus. I think you pick Kadaj here. You might just be dead anyway, so it won't ultimately matter. But on the offhand chance you stay alive.
Yeah, they're discussing what happens if he chooses the Tidus here. I'm pretty sure the Tidus will still get the revenge trigger with this.
Yeah, because the ability will still go on the stack afterwards, even though Tidus doesn't technically have it anymore.
Yeah.
But because he's still there, then the ability would say, well...
He would still see himself being chosen, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Since when he was chosen, he had the ability. It just resolved before he got there.
I mean, unless, he drew into a bounce, which I don't think he did. This is looking like game for Kyle. Bounce with the blue worm, which, Kyle just has a bounce anyway, so it doesn't matter. Although, so that does trigger... Well, they didn't play it out, but that would have triggered Tidus. So Tidus could have kicked something away, but then you can just send then the Echidna after that.
All right, that's game 2.
Moving on to game 3, and technically they've got 5 minutes. Or wait, is this timer accurate?
It's not going to be exactly accurate, but it shouldn't be that far off.
So we might see sudden death in the middle of this. Yeah, if Emmanuel that one turn I think he had lethal like a couple turns before then when Kyle didn't have many defenders and he had multiple bounce spells in hand. I think he legit could have just killed him with the conga line, like you said.
Yeah, I really think not putting him to damage 6 was just kind of the linchpin unintentionally that got him to a point where he was going to struggle to close the game out.
He just didn't go for it. And I think Kyle's hand was low. He didn't have a whole lot. So I think like that was your turn. You needed to go in and get it. Funny that neither of these players started with backups on that first game.
Yeah, well, second game technically, but yeah. All right.
Toneberry. Drawn again. Looks like we have another really rough opening. Kyle at least has some backups in playing Alphino.
These are kind of weird though, because I don't know what a good opening looks like for mono water when you're really looking down time like this.
We did find Sildra, so presumably we'll cast this. We're doing the whole monster shuffle again. This is how Emmanuel started the last game. We'll get back. At Kuchulain, we do still have Sildra in hand, so we can get backups on our next turn.
Do we even bother with backups? I don't know how much time we have left, too.
Yeah, I actually kind of appreciate all the Australian people in here being like, oh, we didn't time our top cut. Because there was a lot of Americans in that chat, like, ragging on them, so...
Yeah, it's
Turnabout spare
tough. Like I
flags.
get both sides of it. You don't want to like, you need to have a timer probably for like the higher rounds, but you don't want to have a different rule set for the end of the tourney than the beginning of the tourney. I sort of get that. Like both ends of it, like because time rules are not fun to play around for anybody.
I'm sure most players would also be happy if Hobby Japan, if you want to just make like a set rule, hey, this one is timed, this one isn't. That would make it very consistent across all the tournaments.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see sometimes some of the regional flavor when sometimes you just see the European 2-deck tourneys, for their large tourneys and time rules exist for logistics, not because they're actually healthy for card games for the most part.
True. Otherwise, we'd be here till midnight.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle didn't opt to put down the Yuna. Wants to match this aggression. Puts his own
Yeah.
Tidus out. Maybe knowing the time is an issue, saying, "All right, well, I'm gonna have to get the damage
Tidus
going."
is a heck of a card in the
Right?
Wave Motion Cannon. When only thing that matters is how much damage you can put your opponent to is pretty nice.
Lady Lena goes to the damage zone. Emmanuel does have a Sildra he can use, can kind of curve out some backups if you want. Card like Ash is essentially blank without any backups. And we will get rid of Kuchlane to send in Echidna. Hit a Porum. 2 forwards gone on Kyle's side. Ash, Lena, Sildra, Bismarck in hand. Emmanuel not pulling the trigger on that. Again, I wonder if they are playing differently. And Kyle takes 2 points of damage with no burst and then draws 2 EX bursts, other Porum and Kadaj.
Kadash seems pretty choice here as well, honestly. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
again, it's like it's an untargetable, it's a hard to target forward. That's going to threaten to keep at least dulling your stuff out. Like if we're playing for the time rules, then why not? Here comes Tidus. There's our bonus burst. Probably pitch that Ash. She's not doing a lot for us. And we draw into Waka and our own Porum. Porum might be looking at a mirror match very shortly here. Manuel's got a lot of choices. He even naturally drew into Yuna at this point. So he can get the first backup of the game.
Imagine telling somebody that this game was happening and didn't tell them about what the time rules were, by the
Right.
way. We have 2 mono water players. We got a unit in the break zone with a bunch of forwards hanging out on both sides, basically.
Here goes Mr. Tidus. Presumably we chump block with the Porum, unless we really want to take the damage. We might want to go to damage 3 for Tros in the future. Yep, Kyle decides to take it. And it's our own return bonus burst as Poo Poo. We get rid of the Kadaj, not valuing it here. Drawn to Poo Poo and Big Leviathan, along with Lena. We've got Waka, we've got Yuna. We definitely got backup options, but yeah, maybe they're not valuing that as much if they're worried about the time. We will activate Echidna. We draw an Opus 1 bounce Leviathan. Now maybe we block with it, or no, we go for another burst, potentially. Yeah, there's the big 6-cost levy. That's our bonus burst. Kyle can get back, what water forwards does he have? He can get back the Lightning or the big Leviathan, and then it looks like he's going to send Alphino packing back to Emmanuel's hand. Emmanuel might not be too sad about that, as he can just replay it if he wants to.
That replays it, kind of gives him pseudo brave in a way for 2 CP. You get to kind of dig a little deeper into the deck as well to try to get those Lenas online faster.
Yeah. Gotta dig a little deeper. Maybe they're asking about time rules now. Yeah, it looks like they're talking about something. Emmanuel has a grip full of cards, so he's unless he thinks the best plan is to discard and pass the turn. I mean, at least Yuna, right? That just makes all your summons cheaper. All those 3 costs become pitch a card, use it. Are we activating the Toneberry too? I guess we're still technically in attack phase. Emmanuel just trying to push this to the moon. Yeah, says actually, nope. I just want to keep on pressing. Kyle willing to go to 5. He's gotten 2 bursts in a row. Can you get a third one? To answer your question, Boy Fee, I would assume normal time rules are that once it's in top cut and they've had their turns for time, it usually goes to sudden death so that the next point of damage wins. Although that's usually when it's tied. So like in a situation like this, like let's say it ended right on this turn, would it be given to Emmanuel since he's ahead on damage, or do you know how that works?
You still have your 0, 1, 2, 3 for turns.
Yeah, I mean after that, like let's say that expires. Yeah, but if they happen to be tied, I always think of your game from re-raise last year. Like you guys were tied on damage, so
yeah, that was
yes, sir. And we pass it. We just put down the Yuna. It's still an even board state, right? 2 characters to 2 characters. Kyle, well, so the game you saw, and there's a bonus burst, which of course we won't use because it would just be a 2,000 power reduction. Kyle won game 2. Emmanuel won game 1, so they both have 1 win. This is game 3.
Yeah, this is game 3.
Looks like we're casting Bismarck. Are we going to send that monster back to Kyle's hand? Because I think it has that text, right? You could, I mean, if it becomes a forward, you can bounce it anyway. You know, in a way, he kind of did Kyle a favor there, because that blue worm was going to potentially die. But obviously, he prevents a point of damage, which, if they're in time, that's all he's playing for right now. Is like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's 5-2.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I just need to stay ahead on damage. You could have 18 cards on the board, but if I'm ahead on damage and these time rules hit, that's game for me, baby.
I wonder who is turns, or if we're in turns yet or not.
I don't want you. I would say I don't want you to interrupt them, but you could try to go out there and find out.
Yeah, let me go see if I can grab y'all some info on if turns have started.
Obviously, it's past time on our clock, although this wasn't the original match on stream. Originally, it was Sam Tool versus Ryan Chen. So this match was moved over. So I'm not 100% sure if our time clock is like dead on accurate, but it's probably pretty close. While Kyle is deciding his Sildra targets, we'll get Echidna and Summoner. And it looks like maybe Emmanuel's discussing turn info as well. Because if they are on turns, and as soon as these turns end, assuming this damage is similar, Emmanuel would win since he's got more damage out. But
okay, I can confirm Kyle is turn 1.
Okay, so Kyle will get 1 more turn after this, and Emmanuel has 1 more turn.
So you've got to line up enough attackers to get that much damage, or to get a couple points of damage through.
With no haste anywhere in this deck, Kyle is currently only threatening to put him to 3, and Emmanuel can put him to 5, potentially with the Echidna. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. There's a part of me that says he should just slap out the Leviathan and send the Echidna packing. That way you guarantee you won't take a single more point of damage. I don't know if that's correct, but it is something you could do.
How much damage do we have to get across? We have to get 3. If we're Kyle, we have to do 3 more points of damage.
Correct.
In 1.5 turns, essentially.
And yeah, and basically 1 turn, because he's already attacked this turn. So
yeah.
So he needs to have at least 2 more forwards.
So,
well, that would just tie him, though. He's got to have... Yeah, no, if he had 2 more, then he'd have 3 total.
I wonder if we're looking to try to get, like, Lena Leviathan here?
Yeah, that's true. He could do that as well.
The problem, though, is you really don't want him replaying that Echidna because of the Bismarck in there. If you get the Bismarck, that's a point of damage he can remove from Kyle being able to do it.
I was gonna say Emmanuel, because of this state, he doesn't actually have to attack or defend as long as he has like summons that can prevent him from taking damage. He'll win. So he just needs ways to keep Kyle from getting across the damage line. Well, whatever you think of the time rules, this has certainly made an interesting ending to this match.
It's very strange for sure. Very strange. It's kind of you really got to get those little 2-drop forwards and be threatening damage with them. Oh, it looks like we're really trying to get Lena Leviathan online, but pitching that blue
Ooh.
worm is very, very rough considering that is 0 CP for another point of damage.
Because yeah, if Kyle just hits him twice, well, I mean, obviously if he does Lena Leviathan, he's threatening 4 attackers next turn. Yep, there's Lena. Here comes the Lord of the Whirl. Emmanuel's board is about to be reset to 0, which in any other situation you think, well, that's a death knell, right? But oddly enough. Yeah, and putting the Echidna back in the hand is going to say, all right, go ahead and go get your best removal summon.
Unless we have like a cancel Leviathan, but that's going to cost our whole hand to do that.
Mm-hmm. So we've got Bismarck in there. We've got...
man, this is so tough.
I saw the Bismarck. I'm not sure what else was in there.
So we're checking now to see. We're trying to decide if it's worth bouncing the
He just
Echidna
sends
or
back
not.
Yuna? Why didn't he... yeah, I guess he didn't want the...
He can't let him get back a bounce summon. If he does, he immediately loses the game on the spot. We have to threaten with the Leviathan to bounce the Echidna. Like, the Echidna can't attack past the Leviathan currently.
Right. Of course, you can
But
just send it packing. I mean, again, there's no haste in these. So if he can get him down to 1 attacker next turn, then it literally doesn't matter what Kyle does. So if Emmanuel has 3 bounce spells right now, you literally just go bounce, bounce, bounce. Target the Tidus, who cares? Like, the most he can hit you is for 1 point of damage. And we've got an Opus 1 in there.
yeah, I think the Opus 1 Leviathan by itself seals this game.
Yeah, Lightning also a really great option here. I think he has 3 Opus 1 Leviathans. Now, he doesn't have Yuna, though.
He has Yuna in hand. You just pitch one to
Well,
play.
well, I mean, sorry, I meant he doesn't have it on the field.
Yeah. You can't go Yuna Levy, I'm pretty sure. And I think that would be a winning line.
That's not bad either. What do we draw? Sildra. Normally a summon we're happy to see, but not right now. Checking his own break zone. Hey, can I go get my own Lena Leviathan? Oh, man, Emmanuel. I feel you, buddy. I saw that look on his... So if he can Lena Leviathan here, and you bounce Leviathan, and you bounce Echidna, you shrink the Lena and the Tidus, you win. You win the game. Because even if he return kicks Tidus, it doesn't matter. Again, your board can be empty. You're going to win on the time rules. So if he can Lena Leviathan here, and Kyle doesn't have down Yuna, so Kyle cannot like use the auto cancel Leviathan even if he had it. He does have Kuchulain, however, but it doesn't. Well, ooh.
I mean, it's still. I mean, he also just has the Opus 1 Levy in hand. I'm pretty sure that by itself does the trick, doesn't it?
But does he have enough to cast that many of them? Because he's got...
You have to cast 2 of them, right?
Well, but then if he took 2 points of damage, like let's say he doesn't have a blocker, if he's got blockers, obviously that offsets it.
Oh.
But if he can't block and he takes 2 points of damage, then they're tied. And then it becomes sudden death. So if he pitches like Sildra for the Yuna, he has enough to cast one of them. I don't know if he can cast both of them still. I don't know if he has enough cards left. And the Echidna is just a net that doesn't actually gain him an extra card because he's got to pitch one for it. But if you have enough for Sildra, for Lena Leviathan, that wins you the game right now. Because even if Kyle blanks it and we don't... well, hold on. If Kyle blanks it with the Kuchulain, you won't get the damage drain. You'll at least send 2 things Mm,
You send
maybe
two things back to hand, you only take 2 damage or on damage 5. All you need is a double bounce, right? Or is Kyle only on 4?
Kyle's only on
Kyle's on
4
4, so if 2 damage gets through, it would go to being tied. Next damage wins. Oh, man.
because
Yeah.
uh, if he, because this Leviathan and Lena are going to die to Kyle's Leviathan because he'll see
Yeah,
the
so this
shrink.
is it's so all in. Ugh.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, if Kyle can put him into, this is just so strange. Okay, so I think you obviously bounce Echidna. Do you also bounce? Do you bounce the Lena and then try to shrink again? He doesn't know that Kyle has the Kuchulain. Because
I mean, the nice thing.
I don't think you want him to replay Leviathan, because if he replays Leviathan, he can get rid of a monster on your field. And if Emmanuel kept a summon in hand, he can at least animate the Echidna. He can block with the blue worm, just keep himself from going to damage 4. I'm gonna say all this, by the way, and he's gonna hit a burst that makes it irrelevant. Do all this math. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! See, the Echidna's gotta go. I think you pick Echidna. Well, again, I know he has the Kuchulain in hand, so knowing that the reduction isn't going to, and he's verifying too. Hey, are we both? Yep, they're both gonna see each other leave.
This is mutually assured destruction.
Right? Such devastation. This was not my intention. Oh my goodness. I hope we get a pee break between this. I'm not ready for the finals in this state. The good news for Emmanuel is that regardless of what happens here, as long as he gets 2 of these off the field, Kyle cannot win on his next turn. He can at most tie him. So there, yep. We Kuchulain. Emmanuel, of course, not like, yeah, yep, he had it. So we draw a card. We'll shrink Lennon Leviathan. We keep our monsters. Kyle can hardcast Leviathan. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he can't. He can't hardcast Leviathan next turn. Unless he gets another summon somehow. Oh,
Do you
we're
want to talk?
animating Echidna right now.
Yeah, no, that's game.
Oh yeah, okay. Then this does do it.
Because this goes through, you basically either block the Lena, at which point you don't have the ability to do 2 damage.
Yeah, he blocks the Lena. What I don't. He
But if you
draws
block Lena,
Echidna.
if you block Lena, you only have 1 forward left to attack, and you've got to do 2 damage this turn.
Bonus burst. He just flips it off to the side, and that'll be it. So to be clear, it essentially went to time, which means the player who has taken more damage will be the loser. In this case, that was Kyle Peters. Emmanuel Anote will be going on to the finals to take on Sam Toole at his Icewind. Wow, that was an ending. He went all in for the Lena Leviathan and it worked. That was crazy, man. I need a break, dude. Yeah, like shoot, I need a water break because that was like I was getting like intense and I'm sitting here sweating like, oh god. But if he does this and he does it, I'm sure they were all making those calculations in their head too.
It's such a hard deck. I mean, I can speak from experience. Playing into Kyle Peters in time is hard. That's what happened to me in San Diego as well. It's so difficult to play into water between all of the EX bursts the opponent can hit, the fact that it's hard to actually even just damage the deck. So falling behind early just due to going second, it makes a difference.
Yeah. Huge, man. Wow. Wow. Wow.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Presumably there's just a collective sigh of relief. I'm assuming we're essentially going to jump right into the finals.
We'll probably end up betting giving Emmanuel
Sure.
some time.
He tries to get up. You just like, you push him down in the chair and you just wrap ropes around and be like, nope, don't move. You're playing right now.
Assume.
All right, folks. Well, you know what that means. It's not going to be too long. We're going to go to our finals. I do need a quick break. I want to get some water, go to the bathroom, all that. Cool. I'd recommend the same if you need it. Grab your sandwiches, grab your snacks, get ready to settle in for a final day. It's going to be Mono Water with Mr. Emmanuel Anote versus Mr. Sam Toole on Ice Wind. Let's frickin' go. Be right back.
Yeah, that is one of the cool things about that. This finals does matter because neither of these players had the day 2 skip. So this is an extremely big finals for both players.